All right, well, I'm gonna get going here. Just gonna go ahead and start off with introductions. This is going to be a Civil 3D tips and tricks part two, sort of an addition to my last webinar that I did. Just a couple more tips and tricks to add on to that. We're gonna go over some. We have a free CTC tool that I'm gonna show you. That's called Part Swapper, completely free. And then I'm going to just show you a couple new tricks and tips to help save time and money. And that's essentially what this webinar is going to be. It's going to be pretty quick. I don't expect it to be very long unless questions arise and we try to troubleshoot some things. So let's see. My name is Patrick. I'm a civil technical specialist. Been working in the civil field for not too long, but I catch on to things pretty quick, 4 years. I have general IT knowledge. I did IT work before I came over to AutoCAD. 1 year Revit experience as well, and I like to dabble in 3D modeling and 3D printing on the side. What are we going to be doing here today? Well, we're going to check out some dynamic blocks. The point of a dynamic block, in my opinion, is to try to reduce block libraries. So instead of having a massive amount of block library, a big library of blocks, try to condense those down into single individual blocks that you can just pick through. We're also going to create a viewport in a relatively different type of way. We're going to be using a region, which is essentially a 3D modeling tool inside of Civil 3D. We're gonna turn a viewport into regions, and I'll show you some cool functions that regions have while created with viewports. We're gonna also look at the CTC part swapper, and then I have some cool hardware that I want to show off at the end here. Some, some things that will help speed up your work processes. So that in mind, let's just go ahead and dive into our Civil 3D. I'm using Civil 3D 2021. Also, if you have any questions, go ahead and either throw it in chat or question and answer box. I will try to answer them as I go, or most likely I will catch up with them at the end of each part of the demonstration. So, first off, we're going to start off with dynamic blocks. All right. So, what is a dynamic block? Well, dynamic block can be pretty much a lot of different things, but essentially, it's a block that has functions to it. So here we have regular blocks. I have a type 1 catch basin, type 2 catch basin, and then just a sanitary sewer manhole. All right. Um, for this demonstration, I could do an entire webinar just on dynamic blocks, and I might do that in the future. But what we want to do is, let's say, instead of having all these blocks here added into our block library, we want to just reduce these down to one single block. To do that, we're going to use dynamic block functions. So to start off, I'm going to actually create a block. I'm just going to call this structures. All right. We're not going to select objects. We're just going to leave it as is. And we're going to hit OK. It's going to pop up with a thing saying, well, you need to select your blocks. But we're just going to go ahead and hit continue. So we're going to make an empty block. And I'm going to go straight into the block edit button here inside of blocks. I'm going to navigate down to that block that I just created. From here, we're going to be inside of our, turn that off, don't need it, inside of our block editor. We're going to be using the block authoring palette here. If you do not see the block authoring palette, you're just going to be inside your block editor tab. Come on over to your manage and then authoring palettes here. Sometimes it might be turned off. This is where the majority we're going to be working in here today. So first off, I want to activate so I can use these visibility states. Right now, everything's grayed out. As you can see, you can't click on it. And what I'm going to do is come over to my block authoring palettes, come down to the parameters tab, and then I'm going to go to visibility. I'm just going to throw that in right there. From that, I can now work inside this visibility panel. I'm going to go to visibility states. All right. I'm just going to label all the different types of blocks that I want to add in here. So first one, I'm just going to rename. I'm going to do type 1 catch basin. All right, I'm going to do another one. Type 2 catch basin. Do another sanitary manhole. I got all three. Now you can add more. Essentially, you can add as many as you want. Bear in mind, I would only have anywhere, depending on the complications of your block, I would only have around 10 to 15 total inside your visibility states. Try not to go any more than 20. Once you start doing that, your dynamic blocks will start to bog down from over too much information inside that block. We're just using 3 here. If you used up to 10, I don't see a problem with it. I've used up to 15 and not had an issue with that. So now that we have this, we're just going to go up here, set current to this first one here, hit OK. As you notice right here in the visibility area, you can switch between what visibility states you want to use. We're going to start off with the type 1 catch basin. All right. And with that, we're going to import our type 1 catch basin that we have as a block. And I'm going to do insert. Popped up on the other screen. Bring that over. Navigate to my type 1 catch basin. All right, this is it. I'm going to bring it in a different way here. Insert blocks. All right. Where you place this block depends on, so normally you're going to want to kind of have this placed in a decent spot, as in your coordinate system. So I'm going to place this at 0,0 at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I'm going to move this. If I can find it now. There it is. That back, that guy. All right, now that my block is in here, the whole idea is to reduce my block library. So I'm going to explode this block inside here so we don't have a block inside of a block. Now you can see that all the parts here are their own parts. Go back up to insert. I'm going to insert my Well, first off, go back to block editor, go to your type 2. Now, if I wanted to see where my other ones are, all I have to do is hit this visibility state and it'll show you what's on your other visibility states all in the one. So at the first start here, I'm going to go ahead and leave that be. I don't want to see my other blocks. I'm going to go to insert, type 2 catch basin. I'm going to move this to 0, 0. Where this visibility button is, that's where you're going to be able to move and switch your blocks. So, and it's going to be the same position for all the visibility states. So you might be moving this around, trying to find the best location to put the little arrow. All right. So now that I have my type 2 catch basin, I'm going to insert my sanitary sewer manhole. Oh, one more thing. I want to explode that. No sense in having a block inside of a block. All right, go to my sanitary sewer manhole, insert, and find the other sanitary sewer manhole. There we go. I'll put that 0, 0, and then explode this block as well. All right. There's a ton of things that you can do with dynamic blocks over here. But all we're working with is visibility states. So this is the only one that we're going to be using. There are some very useful other parameters in here, making things longer, rotation, aligning blocks, all that I can cover in some other webinar in the future. Also, there's other videos on YouTube as well you can check out. But today, all we're concerned about is the visibility states. All right, so now we can come to our block editor and test out our block before we close out. Hit that test button there. As you can see, there's a drop down arrow here. It'll let you decide which one that you want to create. For this type 1 catch basin, I might end up moving the insertion point to the center of it, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Just know that wherever you have that placed in there, everything's assigned to 0, 0. So place it accordingly. All right. I'm going to close out of my test block. Good. And then I'm going to close out of this, save changes. Yes. Now I can purge these blocks out of my template or wherever you store your blocks at. I can purge them out and I don't need them anymore. So if I go to insert, find my structures here, place it in, change between all my dynamic blocks. So here I've got some couple different examples of what you can do. I have approved stamps here. So fire approval, engineering approval stamps, water approval stamps, just the different types of stamps. And then you don't have to go through and look for the different stamps that you might need to place on your drawing. These probably go on the title block. I have here just different light poles, different, odds and ends for street signages and all that, as you can see here. So with that being said, all of these blocks can be one block instead of having multiple blocks. All right. So from that, I'm going to move on over to the viewport creation. And if you had any questions about the dynamic blocks, I'll try to answer them best as I can. Come back to these as well. All right. So over here, I have a title block, pretty generic title block here. And I have a rectangle here that I want to turn into a viewport. They're just polylines. I have two circles here. All right. And I want to turn all of these into regions. So I'm going to type in my command line region. I'm going to select all three of these. I have two circles down here, but I'm really only going to be using one, and I'll show you what the whole reason is behind these. So right now I have everything turned into a region. So let's come in here and turn this rectangle into a viewport. So you can go to your layout tools here and then select you want to turn an object or turn an object into a viewport, and that's what we're going to do here. We're just going to turn this viewport here and zoom into my area here, do a region. Do 1 to 30. That'll be fine. All right, so now I have a region showing as a viewport, as you can see here. All right. Let's say I wanted to have a detail of something, and I just wanted this entire section here to be circled out, but I don't want any funny lines going through. I know there's a method that if you wanted to have a circle inside of a viewport, you can do that through polylines, and you'd have a line coming down here. But with region, pretty clean. So we're just going to use a command called subtract. All right. We're going to select the rectangle region and then spacebar, and then we're going to subtract the circle region from the rectangle region. All right, now this is still one viewport here, and then you got this circle right here. All right. You don't have any funky lines coming through. This is all a viewport. You can still move things around. It's all going to be all one viewport there. You can do funny different things here. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this over. Let's subtract again from, move this, let's just put it right here for some reason. Subtract, we're going to do, select the viewport here, region, select the circle. Do that again here, subtract, region, circle, boom. Oh, little thing in there. Let's say that you wanted to put the circle back and you don't want a circle there, and for some, try to get things back the way they were. Well, I'm going to take this region here. So this is still a region. I'm going to take that region. I'm going to move this to the center of that circle there. I'm going to use a command called unify. So unify, or union, I'm sorry, union. I'm going to select the region here. I'm also going to select the region here and then spacebar, and pretty much bandages it up. There's no more circle there in the report. I can do the same thing here. However, keep in mind if I were to add a circle here, it would just it would put the whole circle in. So if I wanted to fix this, I would have to make a funky little thing here. I don't know how to, there, C for close. Turn this into a region. So now that's a region, and I'll union that. that region, brings that back to life. Unions is a different way to make a viewport, but it can be pretty helpful if you're trying to add certain details and you want to spice up your viewport creativity here. Just different methods of creating viewport, that's all. All right, so next up, from there, since we don't have any questions yet, I'm going to go on over to my CTC tool, Part Swapper, show you a little bit about that. What Part Swapper is when you're using pipe networks. Normally, you'd have to, in order to swap a part, you would have to do individually swap parts by swapping the parts individually from part to part. Where Part Swapper comes into play, you can click on the Part Swapper tool here. Any of these light green tools up here, they're all free. Right now, I'm just talking Part Swapper today, but I would select the parts that I wanted. All right, this little Part Swapper box here will come up, and down here it says I have 6 structures selected. I can change them all at one time. Say we want to do 48-inch manholes. I hit OK, changes all of them at once. Let's say I want to change the pipe sizes from 24-inch for some reason to something else. I'm going to go to my Part Swapper, select the certain pipes that I want to change. Maybe they get larger right at that point there. Go to my replacement parts. Let's do 36-inch concrete pipe. Okay. And all of a sudden, they all change at once. You can do entire network plans, sizes. So let's go here, select by entire network, storm the entire thing, change them all to 48-inch or 72-inch manhole, and then we can change all the pipes to 48-inch. Okay, changes all at once. Instead of doing individually basis. Again, this tool is free. If you don't have it, I don't know what you're doing, but it's a free tool. Pretty handy piece of civil tools here. So one of my favorite tools in the CTC lineup here. All right. So next up, what I want to show you guys is the laptops that we use here. If you're working on a slow computer, I don't know what you're doing, but the computer that I've been using for the last year and a half has caused me absolutely zero problems, and it will handle anything that I've thrown at it. This is the basic model of a BIMBox laptop. I would suggest a 64 gigabyte DDR4, but this 500 gigabyte NVMe drive, that's the fastest thing that you're going to get. You have a 8-core processor. Now, Civil 3D technically only runs off of a single core unless you're zooming in or you're doing some rendering. However, where the multiple cores come in with the BIMBox here is if you have other programs open at once. So let's say you have, what if you got 2 Civil 3Ds open, as I do right now, and then I'm also running a Zoom call, and then maybe I've got my emails open. Well, you have multiple things. You're going to want a decent amount of cores for your computer to handle that. 32 gigabytes of RAM. That's it's pretty good starter. However, if you are uncivil, I would suggest definitely a 64 gigabyte RAM inside your computer. Whether you have a bin box or not, that is almost necessary. Now, a lot of people are running off of they just run their Civil 3D off of the network, but we're talking individual person running we're working from a single computer. I do have the 15.6 inch. It's nice size to carry in a laptop bag. And like again, I've had zero issue. And now they're starting to release these bin boxes and the 30 series GPUs. I have the 2070, and but these newer ones are starting to come out in the 30 series NVIDIA GTX cards. All right. Now, this next one, I did show this in my last webinar, but this is key to um, my production. Whenever I do production, a little fast, and I don't know, I'm not saying which product you can get. I have the Razer myself here, but macro keys, huge improvement for speed, I believe. You can set up each one of these individual keys to do whatever you desire. As you can see here on my macro list, I have minus purge, I have create polylines, trim moves, I have audit set up to a macro key. All these things here improve my workflow. I have a little save button where my thumb is always at, because Civil 3 is going to crash. So um, save often. So I have my thumb sitting right on top of the save button. Again, macro keys. You can get a mouse here with I think there's 12 different keys on the side here. This one down here is a Razer, and then I don't remember what this one is, but they're the kind of gaming mice. So if you're going to look for these, go to your local Best Buy and just go to the gaming section of the computer store or the computer department inside that store, and they'll have these gaming mice, and you can set up your macros and just cruise right along. Set them up, and have a productive day. So after that, that's pretty much like I said. This is going to be a short webinar, pretty quick and easy. I'm not seeing any questions rolling through. This video will be on YouTube too, if you wanted to go back and see how dynamic blocks are created or how that region viewport was done. This will be posted up on YouTube hopefully within the next couple days or so. So you can go back and review on that. And that's just going to be ATG USA at the YouTube. So do we have any questions? And also, if you didn't not comment here, or if you're watching this on on the YouTube later on, you can always send me an email here at psmith@atgusa.com, and I will answer it as promptly as I can. So sit here for another 3-4 minutes, see if there's any questions that come on in, and if not, then that will be the end of the show today. And let me know if you guys have any questions, and then thank you all for showing up, and I hope you guys all had a great 4th of July weekend. All right. Well, I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop this here, and thanks for joining.